Hey everyone, it's David here at Finish Line Factory, and this is my turbo Miata that we've been working on. In the last few videos, we put in the engine after getting it rebuilt. Unfortunately, the engine blew a few weeks ago, so got the engine rebuilt. I also put in a 6-speed transmission, put in a differential, upgraded the bushings on the suspension with new poly bushings, replaced one of the axles, and we made a bunch of little changes. So I have also installed a new Egt sensor so I can monitor my exhaust gas temperature. It's been wired into my ECU so it can be logged, and that way I can go back and see, if I have a high EGT or exhaust gas temperature, I can see what conditions, what ignition timing, and what fueling was being used to generate that those high EGTs, and then possibly make changes to improve the tune. In addition, I also, off camera, I did a bunch of work because, well, a lot of this stuff is just kind of boring and I don't want to, show everything that I'm doing. So we've put the exhaust back in. We wrapped the downpipe with new Finish Line Factory exhaust wrap, and I haven't sent out the official email yet, but I'll let you guys know now. We are now stocking, let me see, here we go, Finish Line Factory exhaust wrap. Check it out, titanium fiber. This is made from crushed volcanic rock, so it is very, very strong, very heat resistant, and what that'll do, it'll help keep the heat of the exhaust trapped inside of the pipe, and prevent it from leaking out into the engine bay, which will improve things a little bit. I may also run a turbo blanket on the turbine housing of the turbo to try and improve temperatures a little bit better, a little more in this area, especially since I don't really have space to run a cold air intake. So where I'm pulling the air from for the intake onto the turbo isn't really ideal. I may try to run something maybe down to the headlight or whatever, but it's a Miata. I don't have a whole lot of space here to work with. But I have the engine oil filled, transmission oil filled, differential filled, coolant is filled, and the power steering is filled. So I am ready to start the car for the first time in weeks. I have to make some changes to the tune to accommodate the new Egt sensor, and pretty soon I'll be taking it to a dyno and tuning the car. I want to make some changes to the tune, especially since now I have the 6-speed transmission and the 3.6 differential. These are stronger components for the Miata, and I'll be able to run a little bit more power. So I should be good for about 350 horsepower, which in a car that weighs 2,500 pounds is going to be flying. So without any further ado, I'm going to bust out my laptop and start making some changes to the tuning. I want to start the engine. I also want to start bleeding the cooling system. And, well, I got some work to do, so let's get to it. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is make sure that everything works. So far, so good. I'm going to check for some leaks, make sure the fuel system isn't leaking or anything like that. So I'm using a Mega Squirt ECU. So if you're not familiar, it's a kind of a open source kind of ECU, which is pretty nifty. Let's see if we can connect. We are connected.
1 hour later.
Alright, that's more like it. Alright, boys and girls. She runs once again. There we go. Wow. Another 3 weeks of downtime, 3-4 weeks, about a month or so. And it's back on the road once again. Well, I still got a brake in the motor, so I'm going to do this by running the engine with no load for about 10-15 minutes, about 2,000, 3,000 RPM. Let it bed in the rings, so on and so forth. Then I'm going to immediately change the oil. I've got another jug of some cheap motor oil. I'm just using, regular conventional because this is just throwaway oil. I'm just letting whatever small debris and particulate that break off the motor fall into the oil. I don't need to use expensive oil for that. Sometimes you can use break-in oils, but their usefulness is debatable. Then I'm going to change the oil again at 100 miles or so and put in some Redline 1040. This is pretty good stuff. It's got extra ZDP, extra zinc. So we should be good to go. Alright, so right now I'm going to let the engine warm to operating temperature, and then I'll start the procedure. All right, now that the motor's broken in, there's no leaks, there's no funny business, nothing weird going on, nothing bad. So now I'm going to change the oil, do the first oil change, get all of the debris, any particulate matter, anything that's hanging out in the engine, maybe any remnants that may have been left over after the engine was cleaned in the machine shop. I'm going to drain the engine oil out, put it on a new filter, and then take it for a drive. Now, this drive isn't going to be anything special. I still have to break in the motor. I still got to bed in the rings. Just easy driving, light load, light to moderate load, just normal driving, you know, just nothing crazy. So I'm going to do that, and then after that, I'm going to put on the dyno. Wow, guys, take a look at this. This is only after running the engine for about 20 minutes or so. Look at all the gunk. Like, that's dirt, metal, debris that has been captured by this Finish Line Factory magnetic oil drain plug, and that's floating around in the engine oil, right? That's all the little chunks that have worn off of the cylinder bores, off of the rings as they're seating into each other. And yeah, that ends up floating around in your oil. So yeah, that's why they tell you to change your oil right after, because all that will be in the engine oil. This is just what was captured by the magnet, right? There's so much more that could be floating around in the oil or in your oil filter. So, you know, most of it gets caught by your oil filter, but still, that's pretty interesting to see. All right, boys and girls, the time is now. My car is now officially ready to be put on the road. Well, I still got a couple things left to do. I still have to do the on-road break-in. So I did the initial break-in procedure. So that's done. I need to get it broken in on the road. So 100 miles, 200 miles, easy driving, normal driving, nothing spirited, no getting into boost. I have to get a rear end alignment, so that's going to be next. And then we're done. The car is ready to be go back on the road, do some rallies. There's still a couple more plans that I got to do. I still have to do the suspension. We're still on stock suspension. Got to refresh the front suspension bushings. But for now, I can drive it. I can get it on the dyno. We can have some fun. So it's like 8 o'clock now, so I'm going to let the car cool off, let it chill out. I'm going to continue tomorrow, and we'll be continuing with getting it to the alignment shop. So close this off here for a second. All right, so I know I said in the last clip that I was going to be going down to the alignment shop, getting the car aligned, and taking it for a little test drive. I did take it for a test drive. Drive's fine. No immediate issues. No weird noises coming about. I did notice that the oil pressure does seem kind of funky, so I'm replacing the oil pressure sensor. I'm going to put in a brand new sensor. I was kind of experimenting with like some cheaper sensor, and it might be a little inaccurate at lower pressures because it's saying that I have like 10 psi, in some cases as low as 6 psi of oil pressure at idle, which some people say for a Miata is normal, especially for a built Miata. But I've also heard that you should be expecting around 15 to 20 psi at operating temperature. So that's a little off-putting. I'm going to replace the sensor, see if I can get a more accurate reading. But right now, I am installing an Egt sensor. So what this does, it's a exhaust gas temperature sensor, and it's something called a thermocouple. Here, I got it right here. And so, give me a second. You take this sensor, you put it into your exhaust, and it'll tell you the temperature of your exhaust, which is important because if your exhaust is if your exhaust gas temperature is too high, then you can be melting things. You could be unknowingly melting bits of your turbo. You could be melting your valves, burning your valves if your exhaust gas temperature is too high. And if you want to get serious about tuning, then it's very, very important to have an exhaust gas temperature sensor. So I'm getting my downpipe off, which unfortunately I just wrapped. I should have thought about this first. So I'm taking the downpipe off, and I'm going to get a portion of it unwrapped, and then I'm going to have a bung welded in for the exhaust gas temperature sensor. Then I'm going to reinstall it, plug it into the Megasquirt, and then I can see what my EGTs are. Now, if your EGTs are too high, this could mean that the ignition is too retarded, and you need to advance your ignition timing more. On the flip side, if the exhaust gas temperature is very low, that could mean, especially during boost, for example, that could mean that your cylinder temperatures, your combustion temperature is too high. So you got to kind of strike a balance, right? If it's too advanced, then you could be knocking. But if it's too retarded, your ignition timing, then you can have issues where you could have too high of an exhaust gas temperature and you're going to break things. So let's get that. Let's get this off. Let's take it to the machine shop. Well, not the machine shop, just my buddy's shop, and take it over down to possibly JJR Boost or Build It Design or maybe Side Mission, whoever's open right now, and see if we can get a bung welded up.
You hear that? That's the sound of another success.
Alright, so the bung has been welded, the downpipe has been rewrapped, the thermocouple has been installed. Now to get everything back in the car. Alright guys, check it out. New Egt sensor. That's the little L shape right there. That's been installed. I replaced the oil pressure sensor, and now it's got a proper oil pressure reading. Let me show you guys. Going the long way around. So here. Alright. So this is my oil pressure, 16 PSI right now, which is good. That oil temperature, whoops, press the wrong button. Got oil temperature at 172 degrees, and this is my EGT. Right now the engine is idling, so the EGT is low at 327 degrees. And yeah, so far so good. So, alright, so now that the car is running good, I think I can take it out for a little voyage. I'm going to take the car home, use that to test it out. Hopefully I get into no little issues. I'm not going to drive hard, of course, still breaking in the motor, so another, I'd say 100 or so miles, and then I can take it to the dyno and tune it. So I think I'm just going to end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. If you need anything, check out finishlinefactory.com. We got fittings and hoses. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. See ya. Bye.